again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The time is now 5 minutes to 3 p.m. And now I am so excited to introduce someone who is going to be joining me as a co host for the next 4 weeks on Trending Now Muslim Edition, where we break down all things trending and social media, but through a Muslim lens. Ummi Kulsum Kambone is a food science and technology graduate, an outdoor enthusiast, and someone who is always looking for meaningful ways to make life worth living. She's bringing her energy, insights, and hot takes to the show. And trust me, you're going to love having her here. Today, we're kicking off with a deep dive into Yaqeen Institute's Ramadan series by Sheikh Umar Sulaiman called The Other Side. Barzakh and Beyond. A powerful look at Barzakh and the reality of death. There's so much to unpack, and I couldn't think of a better person to join me in this discussion. So, Ummi Kulthum, welcome to the pre-iftar plug. How are you feeling about today's episode?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to do this with you. I'm excited because I think we already spoke about how much we both really enjoy Sheikh Umar Suleiman's series. So I think we're going to have a good time. Let's go.
Yes, we are gonna have so much fun, inshallah. So first off, again, welcome to the show. You're officially my co-host for the next 4 weeks. I'm so excited. And what are you excited mainly to touch on in this segment?
I think the show is mostly about what's trending now. What is the youth talking about? What are we doing with our lives out there? And I mean, we're always chronically on our phones, chronically scrolling. So I think I'm excited about us having to delve into the things that we're always seeing. I mean, we're always keeping up with the latest trends, but we don't really have somebody to share it with. So I think it's going to be exciting that we get to share it with the listeners and maybe even have them join us on the show eventually. I don't know, but we'll see.
We will see, inshallah. I'm so excited. My very first question to you is Yaqeen Institute's Ramadan series, The Other Side by Sheikh Umar Suleiman, is literally shaking the internet right now. When you first
Uh-huh.
heard the title, what was the first thing that came to mind?
So when I first saw it, it was actually an Instagram reel, and I shared it on my story, and I was so excited because I was like, "Oh my God, there's the series coming! It's called The Other Side." I don't know what it's about, and I think in his caption he also asked us to sort of like write in the comments what do we think the series is gonna be about, and I was so anxious, and I was like, "The Other Side? What could he be talking about?" And I did sort of have an idea that it's something related to like death, but I wasn't 100% sure. So when I did see that, the official trailer of The Other Side, Barzakh and Beyond, I was like, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it.
Oh yeah, I think all of us. When I saw that reel too, I was like, "No, it's happening, guys! It's finally Ramadan, and it's time for the next series." For the past,
It's
I don't know how
time.
many years I've been watching. I know you've been watching it too. So this
Mm.
is exciting. This is big things for us. Okay, so today we're going to be focusing on episode 3, which is called "The Names Were Given in Barzakh," and honestly, it is a lot to process. Just imagine your soul being called by a name based on how you lived. What was your first reaction to that concept?
So after watching, I think that was episode 3, and I think the first thought that comes to mind is, oh, what name does Allah have for me in the barzakh? What do they call me? And then it also makes you reflect on the life that you're living. And so you know how Sheikh Umar Suleiman explains that if it depends on how you live, in this dunya, if you're a righteous person, you live a life of truth, of righteousness, then you're going to have a beautiful name that reflects that. And if you live a life that is sort of like, not really on the straight path, and you're not from amongst the righteous, and you're not really conscious of Allah, then you're going to have a name that's going to reflect your bad habits and, maybe haram, whatever. So it just obviously makes you sit and think like, I wonder what name they call me. And then it makes you think of, like, the life you've been living, and then you think like, oh my God, do I really have a really good name right now, or do I still need to do some work so that by the end of, my lifetime, when I do reach barzakh, I'm going to be known, by a beautiful name. I'm going to have a name that is going to reflect a life of righteousness, a life of, honor. So yeah, I think it's very thought provoking, because it makes you just reflect on your whole life, and also think of ways to improve your life so that you do have a good name, in the barzakh. Because I mean, the angels are gonna call you by that. Wouldn't you want a beautiful name?
Exactly. You can't be going around being called by some type of way names, guys.
Exactly.
My my next question is as someone who loves engaging in deep conversations and things of that sort, what was one thing that was like, I think, an eye opener? And with that, what changed your perspective and made you think about the legacy that you're going to be leaving behind and how you want to be remembered?
Very interesting question. You don't tell me we're going that deep now. But I think one of the things that, from the entire series so far, I mean, there's a lot, but one of the things is the fact that, and I think it's something that I put up on one of my social media platforms because it was so moving for me, is that, the life that you live now, right? Everything that we do in our everyday lives, is presented to our family members that are in barzakh, okay? And they see what we're doing, and if we're doing good, if we're living a righteous life, if we're trying every day to improve ourselves, to do good deeds, to worship Allah the way we're supposed to, they are happy, they're cheering for us, they're telling their other family and friends in barzakh, look, that's my girl, she's doing her thing. And if we're, sort of, sinning, because I mean, we're human at the end of the day, we're not, perfect, we do make mistakes, we do sin every single day, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally. So when we do commit sin, or when we, sort of like go astray, slightly, then, they are a bit, sad, because they feel like, you're sort of like embarrassing me. But at the same time, they're not just gonna, like, just abandon us, and sort of like dissociate themselves from us just because we've sinned or we've wronged, but rather they make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think Umar, Suleiman said in the series that when you do a bad deed, or when you slowly start going astray, they actually make dua for you, and they say to Allah, oh Allah, guide them, to righteousness, just as you have guided us before we left the earth. So I think it's so amazing, and it really just makes you think that, like, all of our deceased family are actually, in this other realm, and they out there, watching us, and they're praying for us. And I think more than just wanting to please them and make them happy, we should also make sure that we improve ourselves, so that when we get to barzakh, we are living a life that is beautiful. Because I think most of us don't really know, understand, life after death, beyond the fact that you're gonna, be in your grave, and if maybe you read Surah Mulk every night, then it's going to protect you from the adhab of the qabr. But I think nobody really understands, okay, and then what happens after that? And so when he explains in the series that you live in this other world, and the life you have in barzakh is going to reflect, how you lived in this dunya. If you lived a good life, and you were always striving to, perfect your iman and your deen, then you're going to live a happy life. You're going to be making friends, you're going to be feasting, you're going to be introduced to a whole new meaning of time and space, new creatures, people, etc. But obviously, if your life wasn't as, the way it should have been, then that's the kind of life you're going to have in barzakh. So I think that was like the most moving thing for me, is that how our everyday actions really affect our life in barzakh. And not just because I think most of the time we focus on akhirah, but we forget that before we get to akhirah, there's a life after we die, and before qiyamah. And we also have to work on making sure that that life is also a beautiful one.
Definitely. Oh, a girl is just shaking the studio today. Subhanallah. Really taking in the thought of the life between this life that we live here in the dunya and Qiyamah. That's something very big and something that should shake us. It really should, because
Exactly.
the life that we live, we never know when Qiyamah is going to be. So Make sure that the life that you're going to live in barzakh is going to be a good one. Wow, I don't even have words. What she's saying is just so deep and something that we really, really need to think about. So we have some stuff coming in from the listeners, and this is from Mahdia from Binoni. She says, also shouting out Yakin series this month, a person after my heart. Allahumma barik. Super exciting for everything to come as well. Jazakallah so much, Mahdia. I think we're all on the Yakin bandwagon.
We
Um,
on that dragon.
we totally are. Back to our deep, deep conversation. My next question is, a lot of people avoid thinking about death because, let's be real, it's scary. But at the same time, there's something powerful about facing it head on. How do you think the series helps shift our perspective on death from fear to preparation?
Wait, can you repeat that?
All right, the question is, a lot of people avoid talking about death because, let's be real, it is scary. But at the same time, there's something powerful about facing it head on. How do you think the series helps shift our perspective on death from fear to preparation?
So, one of my favorite things about Sheikh Omar Suleiman is that when he is teaching you something, so with each and every one of his series, I don't know for how long people have been watching his Ramadan series, but I've been watching them for as long as I can remember, right? And so, whenever he's trying to teach you something, no matter how deep, no matter how scary the concept is, he's always going to do it in the most light-hearted way possible. So if you're watching the series, then you probably have a better understanding of maybe what I'm going to explain. But like, he sort of makes you understand that, like, he takes away the fear of death from you, so you're not scared about, that one day I'm going to die, I'm going to leave this world, I'm going to enter a whole new realm. He just teaches that to you in a way that makes you sort of like want to do better. So by the time you reach your last breath, you are sort of like content with what you've been doing so far, all of your efforts so far, so that you are like not really reassured, but you sort of feel comfortable knowing that I am leaving this dunya, going into another realm called barzakh, and I know that I'm going to be comfortable there because I tried and I put in my best efforts to live a life of righteousness. I tried to be on my deen. I tried to, because I mean, it really is, before watching the series, and for those who haven't watched the series, I feel like thinking of barzakh is not something that happens all the time. It's not just a thought that comes to mind. But when you watch it, then you understand that, okay, there's this whole other world. And he also builds up that excitement in you that makes you feel like, oh my God, I can't wait to go there one day because I'm so eager to see, what it is, what it's like. He builds up that curiosity. So he has a way of, taking away, removing that fear and making you come to terms with reality. I mean, death is inevitable. Whether you like it or not, you're going to face it one day. And it's crazy because, like, one of the days I was reading in Surah Baqarah that, when Allah was addressing the Israelis and he was talking about them, and he was saying, you are going to they are going to wish that they don't die. They are going to wish that they live for thousands and thousands of years. But even if we let them live for thousands of years, there is going to come a day where they are going to die. So it doesn't matter how long you live or whatever, you are going to die. Death is inevitable. But Umar Suleiman helps you overcome that fear of leaving this world by, explaining the concepts of the afterlife so that you're a bit more comfortable with it, and that it's easy for you to grasp the concept and everything. So yeah, I think just everyone should watch the series, because then he makes it easier. He does it in a light-hearted, exciting way, and yeah, you don't really have that fear of life after death.
Definitely, definitely. I think another thing for me personally was when he mentioned how the people who have passed away communicate with souls that have just passed away, and how it's either you're going to be met with your family and all your loved ones, or you're going to be all on your own, living a life of terror and fear, or have the best time when you're there visiting people you've known, people you don't know, but it's going to be a good experience. That definitely shook me. Like, I was going through something after that. So, how did that make you feel? That specific point that he pointed out.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna lie and act like I'm also not scared. I mean, the fear is still there slightly, but it's just sort of like it changed my whole perspective of just life in general and life in future. We always plan that, the life that we live on earth should always be one that, leaves a legacy. So when we are no longer, people remember us by our name, by this and by that. But then, just hearing that makes you think like, does that really matter more than, what my life in Barzakh is going to be like? It's scary because now you're thinking like, I don't know if I'm even going to meet up with, my deceased family, or if I'm even going to make friends there, if, my life is going to be, all rosy and beautiful. So it really just, it makes you want to improve yourself so that, when you actually get there, that like, no, I'm set. I know I'm going to link up with my family because I was trying back in Dunya, okay? I was trying, I put in my best effort. So there's no way you're going to separate me from them. So yeah, it makes you want to do better and be better as a Muslim.
Definitely, definitely. We all trying to link up and have a different version of matcha dates in
Exactly.
Barzakh, inshallah. My next and final question on this particular topic is: after everything we've heard and everything that Sheikh Umar Suleiman has told us, what is one sentence that you could describe Barzakh with?
Um, One sentence. Why you like putting me in the spotlight like that? Uh, I'd say Barzakh is a reflection of dunya, of your life in dunya. Yeah. I'll leave it to the listeners to reflect on that sentence.
That is definitely something I'm going to be reflecting too. Like, what?
Yeah.
Um, so, before we move on, we have another message from one of our listeners, and this is from Nasreen from Kinross. She says, "Sitting here listening to you ladies, and I am in awe. This is a topic that is an eye opener and needs to be engaged." In more often. MashaAllah, may Allah take you guys from strength to strength. Ameen,
Um,
Ameen. Jazakallah so much,
Shukran
my
for that.
Nasreen. Um, Now we're moving on to a fun part, if I want to call it that. We've been talking about death
Mhm.
and scary
So
things.
let's go to fun, please.
So now we're going to be talking about the most known app, the most exciting app that has us on our phones 24/7, way more than we need to be on it for good, bad. Allah help us and guide us to the right path, but it's inevitable. The app TikTok. Um, I can say I am just chronically on there myself. I don't know about you, but TikTok is my girl. So, tell us what are your favorite trends that you've been seeing on TikTok recently, and yeah, what's TikTok like for you?
Okay, so please, nobody should bash me for this. I am not on TikTok as much as I should be. I think it is the one social media that sometimes I don't even have TikTok on my phone, to be honest. Like I just delete it randomly because when you need space, and I'm like, yeah, no, TikTok can go. But I think that's because the same things that everyone sees on TikTok, I see on Instagram. So Instagram is my girl. Okay, so I think
You're a real
the trend.
girl.
I'm a reels girl. So I think the trends are always just like sort of the same. If you see it on TikTok, I see it on Instagram. And I think the one trend that we can't hide from right now is the overnight oats for suhoor. Let me tell you, the girls are eating up the overnight oats, okay? And I've seen so many different renditions of overnight oats. Others are adding their protein powders in there. Others are just, doing the most. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm also jumping on it. And listen, first, my mom actually sent me a reel and she was like, we should try this. And then she tried it. And I had it the one morning for suhoor. And I was like, listen, whatever you did there, that was magnificent. And I have to have it again. And then we made it a second time. And it was just, I think it's the best trend I've ever hopped on. I don't normally like, hop on the trends like that. But like the overnight oats was just, yeah, it was one of a kind. So I think that's the one for me right now.
I think I'm very much an oats girl too, but I never really got onto the overnight oats. I'm a bit scared of it. I don't know. It's very intimidating to me. I think 'cause there's so many different topics. And sorry to the listeners for talking about food, but overnight oats, guys. Okay, next up, we are gonna have a little ad break, and we will be back with you shortly, inshallah.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
Allah is calling you. Allah is calling you to say His name. Allah is calling you to come home again. Allah is calling you. Remember when you were in pain. Remember when you called His name. But after He answered your prayer, you forgot that He is there. Allah is calling you. Allah is calling you to say His name. Allah is calling you to come home again. Allah is calling you. When you find yourself confused, alone, rejected or abused, He sees when you're in distress. Truly His name puts hearts at rest. Allah is calling you. Allah is calling you to say His name. Allah is calling you to come home again. Allah is calling you. Take some time each and every day to ponder on, to contemplate on all the things He gave to you. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. Allah is calling you. Allah is calling you to say His name. Allah is calling you to come home again. Allah is calling you. His mercy far exceeds His wrath. He wants that you stay on the path. He wants you.
You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this.
Welcome back, everyone. It is currently 18 minutes past 3 p.m., and we are continuing with our segment Trending Now Muslim Edition, accompanied by my very, very lovely host, Ummi Kulsum Kambone. Welcome back.
Welcome, welcome. Let's continue. Let's continue.
All right, still on our very high energy topics after the very sad vibe we had going on. Uh, now we're going to be going on to something that's more, critical, I think, for you mostly. And it is the positive and negative impacts of social media. I mean, I know that I'm very much on social media considering what I do, and so are you with the cooking series every Sunday, all of that. We love watching you on the social medias. So, with doing all of that, what are some things that you find are positive and negative in the social media world?
So, I don't know. This is like, in high school or just primary, whatever, in school in general, one of the topics the teacher will give you for your English prepared speech is like the impact of social media. And I don't want it to sound anything like that because, yeah, no, let's leave school where it belongs. But so I think social media, okay, well, it has its pros and its cons, right? And I think a lot of the times we focus a lot on the cons of social media. We look at the negative aspects. I mean, there's the toxicity that it can bring. There's the cyberbullying. Sometimes social media is just not good for you in general for your mental health. Because you're seeing things and you're trying to conform to the standards of beauty set by so and so influencer, and this person is telling you you're only beautiful if you look like this or if you're wearing this or that. But I think social media does have a positive impact. It just depends what you do with it and how you use it. It also depends on the content that you are consuming. Like, for example, in Ramadan, I think a lot of our social media content, our algorithm has changed because you are engaging a lot with Islamic lectures, Islamic content, in general. And then outside of Ramadan, you're a little bit more like, you're not as wary, so you just feel like, it's Mufti Menk again. You just scroll. I've seen this video 100 times. It's Muhammad Hoblu saying like, "Yo, why is he shouting?" And then you just scroll. But during Ramadan, you sit and you watch, and then it changes your whole social media algorithm. So every time you open your Instagram or your TikTok, you're only seeing Islamic content. And so in that case, social media isn't bad because you sit, you watch the video, you learn something from it. Maybe, for example, so I really didn't want to bring this into this whole thing, but I know the sound of the chickens is inevitable. But I want to just highlight it in a positive light, that just going back to the fact of the positive aspects of social media is one of the things that I learned from social media is actually I saw a video by Umar Suleiman, and he was talking about how when you actually hear the crowing of a chicken, it means they've seen an angel or angel, so you should actually ask from the favors of Allah. But when you listen or when you hear a donkey braying, you should seek refuge from Allah because it means they have seen shaitan. So for those of you that are hearing it, please just make a little dua. Allah is hearing. So back to the positive aspect that I was trying to highlight. Social media, I mean, it depends how you use it. Okay. For example, for you, social media is business, right? So you're using social media, it's not bad for you because it's bringing you the bag. Okay, that's where your coins are. So social media, I guess it just depends on a person alone. And social media can also be bad if maybe you don't really have any like that you don't have anything to take away from there. You're just on there to scroll, to pass time. Social media can be really harmful if that's what you're doing on there, because you then seeing a bunch of people doing things, living their life, achieving things, and you feel like, I'm so stagnant in my life right now, I don't really have everything. And then you're looking at maybe peers that are your age or just influencers that are your age, and they like they're taking the picture with the apartment keys dangling, and the car keys, whatever, and you're like, how come they're also my age and they get that, and like, what am I doing wrong in life? But you don't realize that like it's not your time for that. Okay, this is their time for that. That's why they have that blessing, and when it's your time, Allah will give you that blessing. So social media really is just like, I hate that conversation, because it just depends on what you do on there. If you're looking for clout, you're gonna find clout on there. If you're looking for it to be beneficial, it can be beneficial. And I think I recently saw on TikTok also they have a STEM tab on TikTok. So if you want your TikTok to be a place of learning, you can open the STEM tab, and it's got everything science, technology, engineering, maths related, and you can just scroll for hours, and you're just absorbing a whole bunch of beneficial knowledge. You're learning scientific things, maybe some math hacks on how to do multiplication or division. I mean, it really depends on what you do with it. So yeah. What do you
Definitely.
think social media can be like? What do you think the positives or the negatives of social media are in your perspective?
I wasn't going to be answering questions today, Uncle, but you know what? Love
Yeah,
to
let's
see
flip
it.
the script.
um, I think I'm very on the same bandwagon as you. Is that it can be a very positive thing, or it can be a very, very negative thing. And for me, it's been a bit of both. I think considering the positive that, yeah, this is the job. The job is on there. We're doing what we have to do. We're making the bag. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And from that,
Alhamdulillah.
bringing in Ramadan into this, knowing that it's a Ramadan show, so many things you learn just about Ramadan, the benefits of Ramadan, recipes for iftar, all those kind of things you learn from social media more so than you would learn by just sitting at home, because you don't really have that exposure to
Yes.
other people and what they're doing. So in that way, social media is an amazing thing. I mean, a lot of strengths. We laugh, we have good conversations, focus on social media. Like, I mean, one I know everyone is very tired of, and I'm sorry for bringing it up, but is the Toby Tob situation. I mean, I sit and laugh about it
Allah.
all day long. We sit and we laugh
Yeah.
about that. And it brings happiness in the house, by funny things you see online. And then you have the negative,
Yeah.
which would be the bots, the trolls, the it's a very scary place in a way that you don't know who's behind the screen. You have people that will tell you the most
True.
horrible, terrible things, or will post terrible things, and you don't have control over that in a way that they have free will. They can do that, but you also have control in a way that you can choose who you're following, who you look at, what you look at. So it can be good and bad, but we try to focus on the positives, because it's 2025. We all need to have social media in our lives,
Yes,
but it's all
it's
about
industrial
being
revolution.
right.
So social media is taking over, AI is
Exactly,
taking over.
exactly. And on our social media topic, Mahdia from Binoni asks, "What is Sis Kulsum socials? Would love to follow her."
Shout out to Mahdia. This is her second comments that she's passing. Thank you so much, firstly, for engaging with us. Thank you. My social media, you can find me on Instagram at umkul. It's UMMKHUL_. I think that's the same for my TikTok, but I don't really post anything on TikTok. But you can follow me on Instagram at umkul_. Yeah.
Really, she's feeling herself now because the people want to follow her.
I'm telling you.
But alhamdulillah, you're sharing such wonderful insights. Everybody just wants to be a part of it. And we're coming to the end of our segment. And just a few things that I want to say before we close off is number one, Jazakallah to you, and a little shout out to someone close to you and I, our darling Ahila, and her social media presence. I know that she is doing her big one right now, so a big shout out to her.
Yeah.
Everyone go and follow her. I don't know, you can give us her username
Follow her.
so that everyone
Okay,
can follow
follow
her.
her. I think we'll put it on the Instagram, on the Salam
Mm,
Media, on your Instagram page. Yeah.
yeah, we'll tag her. Everyone go follow Kulsum's sister. She is our next big influencer, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Any closing remarks that you would like to give to our listeners today?
Um, uh, what can I say to you guys? So, firstly, thank you for tuning in, for taking the time during your very busy schedules. I know it's a Saturday and people are just, either you're busy out there, you just want to relax or just take a nap. But thank you for tuning in. I think, Ramadan comes once every year, and there's no guarantee that we're going to see the next one. So, I think my message to everyone is to just make the most of the Ramadan that we have here. People, anticipated reaching the month of Ramadan. They had plans for it, and there's some people who, took their last breath just a day before Ramadan could even start. So there's no guarantee that we're going to see it again. So just make the most of it. Use this Ramadan to, better yourself, improve yourself. If you want to maybe start, dressing modestly full time, or just wear hijab, or just, pray your salahs regularly, whatever it is you want to do to be better as a Muslim, start it now during Ramadan and keep that momentum even outside the month of Ramadan. And inshallah, this Ramadan will be the one that changes us forever. May Allah bless you all and fulfill all of your heart's beautiful desires, halal desires, and may Allah make it easy for us to achieve, what we want to in this life, as well as in barzakh, as well as in akhirah.
Ameen, Ameen. That couldn't be said any better. And lastly, since we're doing this thing together, what do
Mhm.
you suggest our topic should be for next week? And the listeners as well, let us know.
Yeah. Okay. I think okay, the listeners should send in some suggestions, but I don't think we should tell them what we're talking about. Every week they tune in and it should be a surprise. So they come in, eagerly waiting to hear what is Ummi Kulsum and Umama talking about today? What do they have for us? It should be a surprise because we don't want them to know and then they're like, oh, they're talking about that. I'm not interested in that. They should tune in and find out. So stay tuned next week, same time, same place, and you're gonna find out what we're talking about.
Inshallah. She wants to gatekeep, guys, but
Yes.
it's better. It's for the better. Jazakallah so much for joining me today, Umko. I couldn't have had my show with anyone else. Jazakallah khair. And since our topic was death today, may Allah grant Jannatul Firdaus to all those who have passed away, and may fill their
Ameen.
qabrs with nur, and make all of our passings an easy one, inshallah. That was
Ameen.
it for Trending Now Muslim Edition. Jazakallah so much for joining us. We're going to have a little ad break and we will be back for our next segment.